Welcome back, everybody. Brother Kimo here with Reload Hawaii, and this is beefy, but this is beefier. Hey yo everybody, where's the beef? Hey, the beef is right there, and bonus points to anybody that can tell me what that phrase or what commercial that phrase is from. But check it out, man. This is it, Smith & Wesson model 586. This is a Dash 3, and it is absolutely gorgeous. This came about because the model 66, which is a K-frame, was having some issues keeping up with the 357 load, and more law enforcement and people wanted to shoot 357, so that's how this came about. They beefed it up a little bit in certain areas, and it's gorgeous. Available in a 4-inch. Oh, look at the bluing; it's just picking up all my fingerprints. So for those of you who are getting irritated by that, don't get the bluing, but it is absolutely spectacular. This bluing is going to last like forever, ever. Yeah, man. So let's go over the numbering system of 586. The 5 and the 586 most of the time will designate the blued version of the series. So the 586 would be the blued model, and the 686 would be the stainless. Likewise, something like the 581 would be blued and the 681 would be stainless. The dash indicates that some kind of change was done in the gun engineering wise. For example, the 586-2, the nose on the firing pin was changed to this guy here, so it was something different before. The Dash 3 indicates that the yoke system was modified somehow, and I don't know what that does, but that's what the dash system means. And some purists, Smith & Wesson purists, would be like, meh, I only want the ones without the dashes. But here's an exception. Maybe 2006, when they made a limited run, there was a 586-7, and it was a 7-shot versus a 6-shot. So hey man, if you're gonna put one more chamber in there, I'm like, go for it. So that's maybe an exception to the rule, but that's the how the numbering system works. And for those of you who are wondering what the dash is on those, that's what that's about. But this is cool, man. So it's an L frame. It's beefed up in certain areas, and you're going to notice a large majority of it is this underlug area right here. And not a lot of people talk about it. Some people on the internet were talking about how they did it to keep up with the Colt Python. And I think it has really good functionality. It's supposed to make the pistol feel more balanced and less muzzle flip. And less recoil because there's more weight on it. And I gotta say, if that is true, shooting 38 special through here was so light recoiling, and 357 on this thing, not as poppy, not as heavy recoil as it was in some of the other 357 Magnum pistols I've shot. So if that's the case, that's a really nice place to have it. I had these grips on here. It came with the pistol. I don't like these rubber grips on there. I like how there's these finger grooves cut in here, but it just doesn't fit in my palm well. I prefer something like this. I'm going to bring in the Taurus for a cameo appearance here. Boing! We're going to see more of this guy later on, but I kind of like these guys. I think they look classier, and this fits in my hand a little bit better. But, I just could have not found the right rubber grips, and I'm just not willing to buy them and put them on, and just like, oh, it's still junk. I don't like it. But, yeah, maybe if I find something that I like, but that's personal preference. Looking back at that, did it keep up with the Colt Python? Don't care, but it does look very nice. The lockup on this thing is absolutely awesome. So here we go. I got it down in there, and what'd you say? No movement? Awesome, right? But yeah, the lockup is really tight. There's hardly any gap in here. It's the perfect amount of gap between this area here, so everybody knows that, if you have a big gap in that area right there, it is not good for accuracy, and the lockup must be very tight for maximum accuracy. So very tight lockup here as well. So I called Smith & Wesson to double check the serial number. This one was born December 1991, so it is one of the older ones. So from 1981 to 1998, these are made, and there were some appearances of some modifications on there that I'll go over a little bit later on. But so they right, let's just say early 80s to late 90s, and then we got the 2006 limited run, the 7-shot, and then of course 2012 Smith & Wesson decided to re-release it, and it did have some things on it that people didn't like. Most importantly, people hated that internal locking mechanism that's mounted like right there. It just looks like a pimple on the frame of a very beautiful gun. And I can understand it, right? The industry was going through some very hard times, and they had to make some concessions to keep it going, and that's one of them. And there's reports of it malfunctioning, and as a whole, I think most gunnies just hate the fact that it's on there. But whatever, you can decide if you want to have one of those or not, because you cannot find one of these in the newer 2012 models. The other thing is they went from a hammer-mounted firing pin to one that is frame-mounted, and there's also a hammer block on the inside. So the Taurus doesn't have an internal lock, but it does have the pin-mounted or frame-mounted pin in there with a hammer block in there, just in case it gets dropped. That will block and stop accidental discharge. So you know, some people hated that stuff. Another thing that you're going to find is, you know, a lot of people are asking me, hey, how come your trigger and your hammer is discolored? And that's something that Smith put on there to distinguish itself from the copies that were coming in. The Spanish clones were kind of invading. So I guess if the Spanish clones decided to upgrade on this stuff, then they would be able to say, hey, you guys not too good over there. But it's beautiful. The purpose of it is it makes the surface of this much more durable. Lasts longer, it's harder, and to some extent, because it is harder, some people like to say it's a little bit smoother. But I like that the color case hardening looks really cool, man. And it does have its functionality, but this thing's gonna last longer than me. I'm not gonna put anywhere near the amount of rounds it's gonna take to wear this down. So the newer ones have MIM parts, metal injection molding, and some people have a problem with it. I don't. You know, but it does cut costs and it doesn't look as nice as one of these guys. So that's about it. Let's take a break here so we can take a look at the overall weight, trigger pull, and accuracy. And we're going to actually put it up against this guy right here and see if it can hold its own. All right, guys, be right back. Okay, overall weight, 2 pounds, 14 ounces. That is heavy. 6-inch Paradise right there. Double action pull, 11.3 pounds. Single action, 4.3. Not bad. That is some hernia engaging double action right there. Good God. Here it is, the 4-inch Taurus. So we got 6 inches versus 4 inches. This is 25 yards, double action. The Smith on the left, Taurus on the right. Smith is grouping pretty good. Here's single action, 25 yards. Not bad, Mr. Taurus, Mr. 4-incher. Here's the 5-shot groups. You know, I'm going to say the Smith has a slight edge there. Guys, overall, I think if you can get your hands on, especially an older one, go for it. I mean, this was such a blast to shoot. 38 special, 357. The bluing on this thing was amazing. And I will say this, after shooting the Smith and then picking up the Taurus, I felt like Super Saiyan God 50. The thing was, it's so heavy, but it absorbs recoil so much. It's so beautiful, guys. I'm all for saving money when you can, but if you can get an older Smith & Wesson, go for it. Guys, that's the ending of the review. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. If you liked the video, give me the thumbs up. And as always, I will catch you later.